Hello students, I Rajeshwari Shirkanhalli welcome you all in Nagesh Karasgi Orchid School channel. Students, today we are going to start chapter number 1, that is crop production and management. We are going to see what is meant by a crop, how a crop is produced, what are the different steps, what are the different agricultural practices, and finally once the crop is produced, the grains are taken, then how to store these grains, how to manage all these things we are going to discuss in this chapter. So, the chapter is going to be very interesting. So, let us begin with chapter number 1, crop production and management. So, Paheli and Bhujo went to their uncle's house during the summer vacation. So, as you know that Paheli and Bhujo are always helping you out. So, here also they are going to help you out. So, here Paheli and Bhujo, what they did, they went to their uncle's house during their summer vacation. You also go to your relative's house, isn't it, in your holidays. So, in the same way, during the summer vacation, Paheli and Bhujo went to their uncle's house. Their uncle is a farmer. One day they saw some tools like kurfi, sickle, shovel, plow, etc. in the field. So, when they went, they saw in the farm there were some tools like kurfi, sickle, shovel, plow, etc. All these tools they found in the field. Now, Bhujo wants to know where and how these tools are used. Okay. So, Bhujo is saying that I want to know where and how we use these tools. So, definitely you also all want to know about these tools, isn't it? So, let us see, you have learnt that all living organisms require food. So, food is must. By consuming food only energy is obtained. So, all the living organisms require food. Plants can make their food themselves. You know that plants undergo photosynthesis and they synthesize their own food. So, they make their food by themselves. Can you recall how green plants synthesize their own food? Yes, you are right. They synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. What do they do during that? They absorb carbon dioxide from the air, they use sunlight. There is a green pigment present in the chloroplast which is called as chlorophyll. With the help of all these things, they synthesize their own food. This process is called as photosynthesis. And already you have learned about this process in your lower classes. Okay. Now, these are about plants, but what about animals including us? Do we able to make our own food? No, we are dependent on the plants to get the food, isn't it? So, animals including humans cannot make their own food. So, where do animals get their food from? Animals get their food from plants and from other animals. But first of all, why do we have to eat food? That is main question. Why we require food? Because there are different life processes taking place in our body. For all these life processes and for doing each and every activity, we require energy, and this energy we get by eating food. Okay. So, you already know that the energy from food is utilized by organisms for carrying out their various body functions. Okay. So, as just now I have told that for carrying out different body functions, we require energy. So, energy is utilized for carrying out different body functions. Which are these body functions? For example, digestion, respiration, excretion. So, these are just a few examples. Okay, so for any body function, energy is required and that we get from food. So we utilize that energy obtained from food. You are familiar with these life processes, these body functions, digestion of the food, respiration, that is exchange of gases, and excretion, that is removal of waste material. We get our food from plants or animals or both. Okay, so we obtain this food either from plants or animals or from both. Since we all need food, how can we provide food to a large number of people in our country? So we require a large number of food, but how this food is supplied to a large number of people in our country? So what is done during this case? How the food is supplied? Food has to be produced on a large scale, isn't it? In order to provide food for a large population, a regular production, proper management and distribution of food is necessary. So for providing food for large population, what are the necessary things? The food should be produced regularly, there should be a proper management and the food should be distributed properly. All these things are very important and all these things are done in different agricultural practices. So let us see what are agricultural practices. Till 10,000 BC, people were nomadic. They were wandering in groups from place to place in search of food and shelter. Okay, so till 10,000 before Christ, people were nomadic. They were wandering in groups from place to place in search of food and shelter. They ate raw fruits and vegetables and started hunting for animals for food. So what they used to do, they used to wander in the groups from place to place for getting food and shelter. What they were eating that time? They were eating raw fruits and vegetables, and then they started hunting for animals for getting food. Later they could cultivate land and produce rice, wheat and other food crops. Thus was born agriculture. So later on they started cultivating the land and they started producing rice, wheat and other food crops. In that way agriculture was born. When plants of the same kind are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale, it is called a crop. So what is a crop? Crop means these are the plants of same kind and they are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale, that is called as a crop. For example, crop of wheat means that all the plants grown in a field are that of wheat. Okay, so when we say that wheat crop or crop of wheat means in that large area all the plants are of wheat. Similarly, if we say maize crop means all the maize plants are there in that large area. You already know that crops are of different types like cereals, vegetables and fruits. These can be classified on the basis of the season in which they grow. India is a vast country. The climatic conditions like temperature, humidity and rainfall vary from one region to another region. Okay, in our country the climatic conditions like temperature, humidity, rainfall, they vary from one region to another region. Means region wise the climatic conditions are different. Accordingly, there is a rich variety of crops grown in different parts of the country. So students, as the climatic conditions vary from one place to another place, that is from one region to another region, so different variety of crops are grown in different parts of the country. Despite this diversity, two broad cropping patterns can be identified. Okay, so despite of this diversity, there are main two patterns of the crops are there, cropping patterns, which are Kharif crops and Rabi crops. So let's discuss about these two types of the crops. First one is Kharif crops. The crops which are sown in the rainy season are called Kharif crops. Okay students, as you know, now rainy season is going on. So now the crops sown are Kharif crops. The rainy season in India is generally from the month of June to September. June, July, August, September. So these months are generally of rainy season. And during this period, Kharif crops are sown. Which are these? Some examples are given here. Paddy crops, maize, soyabean, groundnut, cotton, etc. These are some of the Kharif crops. Now, the second cropping pattern is Rabi crops. The crops grown in the winter season are called Rabi crops. Okay, so when the Rabi crops are grown in winter season. So the crops grown in the winter season are called Rabi crops. Their time period is generally from October to March. We have seen that time period of Kharif crops is June to September, and whereas that of Rabi crops is from October to March. October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months. Examples of Rabi crops are wheat, gram, pea, mustard and linseed. So these are some of the examples of Rabi crops. Besides these, pulses and vegetables are grown during summer at many places. Okay, we have seen that Kharif crops are grown in rainy season, Rabi crops are grown in winter season, but during summer also at many places different pulses, vegetables, etc. are grown. Okay, so now we have discussed about cropping pattern, but how these crops are grown? There are some basic practices of crop production. So let's discuss about these basic practices of crop production. Why can paddy not be grown in the winter season? Just now we have seen that paddy crop is a Kharif crop and it is sown in the rainy season. Now Bhujo has the question that why can't we grow paddy crop in the winter season? The answer is given by Paheli. Paddy requires a lot of water, therefore it is grown only in the rainy season. Okay students, if you must have seen the paddy crop field, you have seen that there is a lot of water there in that field. So lot of water is required and that is possible only in the rainy season, isn't it? That's why winter season is not suitable for paddy crop. So paddy crop is grown in the rainy season. Now cultivation of crops involves several activities undertaken by farmers over a period of time. So we get here all the ready-made wheat, jawar, maize, etc. But a lot of hard work is taken by farmers. There are several activities included which are called as basic practices for producing crop. So over a period of time, the crops cannot be grown in a day, isn't it? It takes a long period of time and different practices are undertaken by farmers. From this you can realize that farmers are so patient. They are so patiently do all these things. But sometimes because of heavy rain or because of scarcity of water, crops cannot be produced properly and farmers undergo a lot of loss. Okay, so let's see which are these activities. You may find that these activities are similar to those carried out by a gardener or even by you when you grow ornamental plants in your house. So students, I think all of you have done the tree plantation, isn't it, in the school or at some other place or even in your house garden. So when you grow an ornamental plant, whatever care you take, or whenever any plant is grown by a gardener, whatever care is taken by that gardener are somewhat similar to the activities taken by the farmer for growing crop. So let us see them. These activities or tasks are referred to as different agricultural practices. So these activities are listed below. So there are 7 agricultural practices which are carried out one after the another in the same sequence, and these activities are referred to as agricultural practices. So let us see what are these agricultural practices. The first one is preparation of soil. Second is sowing. Third, adding manure and fertilizers. Fourth, irrigation. Fifth one is protecting from weeds. Sixth, harvesting, and the last, that is the seventh one, is storage. So let us see all these agricultural practices in detail. So the first one is preparation of soil. So let us see what is preparation of soil. Soil is prepared, means what is exactly done with the soil. The preparation of soil is the first step before growing a crop. So before growing a crop, the first step is preparation of soil. One of the most important tasks in agriculture is to turn the soil and loosen it. Turning the soil means the upper layer of the soil goes downward and the lower layer of the soil comes upward. So that is turning of the soil, and loosening of the soil is also very important. If the soil is tight, packed, then there is no air. Roots cannot breathe. There are different worms present in the soil which help in the proper growth of the crops. They cannot survive. The soil should be aerated. There should be presence of air, and that is done during the first agricultural practice, that is preparation of soil. So what happens when the soil is turned and loosened? It allows the roots to penetrate deep into the soil. Okay, so if the roots go and penetrate deep into the soil, then the crops grow more properly, because roots becomes healthy, strong, and they absorb all the nutrients, water, etc. in more quantities, isn't it? But for the penetration of the roots, there should be some space, otherwise they cannot penetrate. So the space is made available by loosening the soil. The loose soil allows the roots to breathe easily even when they go deep into the soil. Yes students, roots also breathe. They breathe easily even if they are deeper in the soil because of presence of air. Why does the loosening of soil allows the roots to breathe easily? That's a question must be arising in your mind also. So why does the loosening of soil allow the roots to breathe easily? The loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. Okay, so in the soil there are earthworms and microbes. What they do? They help in the production of crop. So the loosened soil helps in the growth of these earthworms and microbes which are there in the soil. These organisms are friends of the farmer, since they further turn and loosen the soil and add humus to it. So students, you must have already learnt in your lower classes that earthworms are called as friends of farmer, isn't it? So earthworms and other microbes which are there in the soil, they make the soil more loose and they increase the humus content. So you have learned in 7th standard last year about the humus, isn't it? If humus is more, the soil is more fertile and growth of the crops is more healthy, isn't it? But why does the soil need to be turned and loosened? You have learnt in the previous classes that soil contains minerals, water, air and some living organisms. In addition, dead plants and animals get decomposed by soil organisms. So, what are all the things present in the soil? The soil consists of minerals, water, air, some living organisms like some earthworms, microbes, etc. In addition to that, there are dead plants and animals and they get decomposed by the soil organisms. In this way, various nutrients held in the dead organisms are released back into the soil. So, what happens when the dead organisms get decomposed by the soil organisms, then the nutrients which are held in their bodies get released back into the soil. These nutrients are again absorbed by plants. This is also called as nutrient cycle. It is one part of the nutrient cycle about which you will learn in higher classes. Since only a few centimeters of the top layer of soil supports plant growth, turning and loosening of the soil brings the nutrient rich soil to the top, so that plants can use these nutrients. Okay, so only a few centimeters of the top layer of the soil supports plant growth. So, the top layer of the soil should be more fertile. So, when the soil is turned and loosened, what happens? The nutrient rich soil is brought at the top, so that plants use these nutrients and grow properly. Thus, turning and loosening of soil is very important for cultivation of crops. So, the first agricultural practice, that is turning and loosening of soil, is very important for cultivation of crops. The process of loosening and turning of the soils is called tilling or plowing. So, this first practice, that is loosening and turning of the soil, is called as tilling, or it is also called as plowing. This is done by using a plow. Plows are made of wood or iron. If the soil is very dry, it may need watering before plowing. So, the soil is plowed by using a plow which is made up of either wood or iron, and if the soil is very dry, then it may need watering before plowing. The plowed field may have big pieces of soil like crumbs. So, big pieces of soil are called as crumbs. It is necessary to break these crumbs. So, these soil crumbs should be broken first into small parts, small particles. So, it is necessary to break these crumbs with a plank. Okay, a plank is used for breaking these crumbs. The field is levelled for sowing as well as for irrigation purposes. So, then after plowing, what is done? The field is levelled properly for sowing the seeds and even for irrigation purposes. The levelling of the soil is done with the help of another agricultural tool, that is called as a leveller. A leveller is used for levelling of the soil. Why the soil should be levelled? So that the seeds can be sown properly and watering can be done properly. Sometimes manure is added to the soil before tilling. Okay, so before plowing or before tilling the soil, manures are added. So, what happens because of that? When the soil is overturned, the manure can go and mix with the soil properly. It go deeper. This helps in proper mixing of manure with soil. The soil is watered before sowing. So, this is all about the first agricultural practice, that is preparation of soil. Now, let us see some of the agricultural implements which are required while producing the crop. So, different agricultural implements. Before sowing the seeds, it is necessary to break soil to the size of grains to get better yield. Okay students, as I have told that sometimes there are big pieces of the soil are found which are called as crumbs, and these crumbs should be broken into very small size. Small size means they should be of the size of grains. From that a better yield of the crop is obtained. So how it is done? This is done with the help of various tools which are called as agricultural implements. The main tools used for this purpose are the plough, hoe and cultivator. So students, here in this picture you can see the plough is shown. This is the plough which consists of plough shaft, then this is a plowshare, then this part on which it is supported is called as beam. So let us see what is this plough in detail. Plough, that is the one agricultural implement or tool. Plough is being used since ancient times for tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds, scraping of soil, etc. So plough is used from ancient time. For what it is used? It is used for carrying out different activities like for tilling the soil, okay, means for ploughing the soil, then for adding fertilizers. Fertilizers are added to the crop with the help of plough, then removing the weeds. Now here students, weeds means unwanted plants. So some unwanted plants, if they grow, they also start eating all those, consuming all those nutrients, and they also require water. They grow more rapidly and they start competing with the crops. So they are unwanted, they should get removed, and such removal of weeds is done with the help of plough. Similarly for scraping of soil, this implement is made of wood and is drawn by a pair of bulls or other animals like horses, camels, etc. in the unavailability of bulls. Generally we see bulls are used, but at some areas like in hilly region, horses are used, in desert region camels are used, etc. So a pair of animals are used for this purpose, and this implement is made of wood and is drawn by these pair of animals. It contains a strong triangular iron strip called as plowshare. So students, just now I showed you that part of the implement called as plowshare. The main part of the plough is a long log of wood which is called as a plough shaft. So what is plough shaft? It is a long log of wood, and that is the main part of the plough. There is a handle at one end of the shaft. The other end is attached to a beam which is placed on the bull's necks. Okay, so just now you saw in the figure that there is a beam which is attached on the neck of bulls. One pair of bulls and a man can easily operate the plough. Okay, so I will just show you that figure once again. So this is a plough. This is a triangular part called as the plowshare. This is the long log of wood called as plough shaft, and it has an handle on one side and it is supported on the neck of these bulls, that is called as a beam. So the indigenous wooden plough is increasingly being replaced by iron ploughs nowadays. Okay, so previously wooden ploughs were used, but nowadays iron ploughs are used instead of wooden ploughs. So this is about the first agricultural implement, that is called as the plough. So students, today we have seen about plough. Before that we have discussed that there are different agricultural practices which are, actually they are familiar to you, because You must not be knowing exactly that these agricultural practices are named in that way, but when you grow an ornamental plant, you also follow all these steps, isn't it? If when you plant, first you loosen the soil, you make it aerated, then you plant it, then you water it, you add manure or fertilizer, you take a proper care, you do all these activities actually in your garden, but these are done on a very large scale in the field by the farmer. We have discussed today that food is important, and with food only we get energy and we can fulfill our all the requirements to carry out all the body activities, body functions, including digestion, excretion, respiration, blood circulation, and so on. So, for carrying out all these activities, we utilize energy, and that energy we get from food. So, food is important, and that is why crops are grown by the farmers. So, farmers are called as backbone of our country. We have also seen that the plants of the same kind grown on a large area are called as crops. We have seen two types of the cropping patterns. They are kharif crops and rabi crops. Kharif crops are grown in rainy season and rabi crops are grown in winter season. Along with that, there are some crops like pulses, vegetables, even they are grown in the summer season. So, after discussing all this, we have discussed about the first agricultural implement, that is plough, which is used for ploughing the field, for tilling, for removing unwanted plants, for adding fertilizers, and so on. Remaining implements and the remaining 6 agricultural practices, we will keep it for next session. We will stop here. Thank you.